Hello Year 5. So this week we are going to be studying habitats, and I thought I'd bring you to my garden and I will show you how you're going to be studying habitats. You're going to be studying one today, Monday, and another one in your next lesson on Friday. So you need to find two different habitats to study, which means two contrasting habitats. For example, you could have a woodland or a garden, or you could have a pond area, or you could have a field, you could have a large habitat, a small habitat, but they need to be different, have different organisms. You're then going to have a sheet for the habitats, which will be on Surrey, looking like this, if you can see this, and there'll be one part for habitat A and one half for habitat B. So you will complete these as you go along. So in the first lesson you're just going to do habitat A, and I'm going to go through each part and what you have to collect and study in each habitat. Okay, so the first thing would be to describe the habitat, or give it a name. Name of habitat would be rose garden, woodland, field, etc. Then you need to describe what it's like, and we talked about conditions last week. So is it shady? Is it dark? Is it damp? Is it hot? Is it dry? Is it rough? Is it windy, etc.? That would be your descriptions of what the conditions are like. Then you'll move on to how light it is. Is it shady? Is it sunny? Is it partially sunny? Is it very dark? Type of soil, well, you can pick up the soil and put it in your fingers, see what it feels like. Does it feel clay? Is it quite thick and sticky? Or is it more sandy, more dry? Then you can look at the plants that are involved, and you may need some equipment for that. Can you name any of those plants? You might already know the names. You might have to look some up. Measuring the height of the tallest plant. I'm going to show you the equipment in a minute, what you might need to use to measure the plant. The highest or tallest plant in that habitat. Any of the animals you find, I'll show you how you can collect some of the animals as well. Can you name them? And lastly, how would you describe your habitat? Would you describe it as being big or small? Then you're going to sketch animals and plants in the circle at the bottom of the page that you have found in your habitat. Okay, now we're going to have a look at some of the equipment that we're going to use to measure and study the habitat. I've got a tray of objects here. So here is my tray of objects, and I'm going to go through each one so that you can see what to use. For measuring the height of a plant, you could use string or rope. If you're unable to work out or use a ruler, this would be a first point, and then you could use a ruler on it, or you might need to use a tape measure, whatever you've got at home, to try and measure the height of your tallest plant in the habitat. You may want to have a little dig around in the ground for some animals. Just be careful not to harm them. Use a spoon, or you may have a trowel. Just carefully dig around. You need a collection pot. Now, I was lucky, I found my son had a collection pot at home. Some of you may already have these collection pots with a magnifying glass at the top. But if you don't, anything at home you've got, a yogurt pot, old yogurt pot, a glass Pyrex dish, anything at all that you can just collect a few of the organisms, animals in, to have a closer look. Now, you might just have to have a closer look with your eyes, or you may have a magnifying glass. I was looking again to find, this is a bit large, but there is a magnifying glass. Or I can use the one on the top of my pot that I happen to have at home. Okay, but don't worry if you don't have these. You can just study them in the pots with your own eyes and have a look. You might even have a microscope. You could have a look at them underneath as well. Some other pieces of equipment you might want to use. You can start studying some of the organisms, the animals, and plants, but the animals specifically, you could collect them over a week or a few days and see how many move into that area. And the way you can do this is using something called a pitfall trap, which I have shown a picture of on Shobi for you. To make a pitfall trap in an area, you need a yogurt pot sized container, one that you don't mind leaving outside for a bit. Okay, and we're going to move to another area of my garden so I can dig a hole and show you what I'm going to do with this pitfall trap. So let's go to another part